From the University of California, Irvine, I'm David Naimie. I'm speaking with the director of the UCI Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships, Becki Sanchez, and her senior associate director, Madaule. Together, we're going to discuss the simplified pre-application for federal student aid, more commonly known as the FAFSA. But first, a little background on the FAFSA. The FAFSA is used by students to apply for federal financial aid, such as federal grants, work-study funds, and loans. Submitting the FAFSA gives students access to the largest source of financial aid to help pay for their college education. Recently, the FAFSA has been simplified. In 2020, Congress passed the FAFSA Simplification Act, allowing for major improvements in the application process, beginning in the 2024-25 academic year. Changes include new formulas for calculating aid. The new FAFSA is intended to expand the Pell Grant to more students and will link eligibility to family size and the federal poverty level. Becki and Crystal, I'll rely on you to explain the changes found in the simplified FAFSA, and I'll also want to hear the steps that your office is taking to assist students with the financial aid process this year. Thank you both for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Becki, start us off with the basics. What is the FAFSA used for?
Yeah, the FAFSA stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, and the application really helps the financial aid offices understand the affordability for each student coming into the university. So the student will complete the FAFSA, they'll put their income and assets from both the parent and the student, and then the results of that comes back to the university and lets us know what their new student aid index is. And that's going to be new for this year with the FAFSA simplification. The old version had expected family contribution rather. So it really helps us determine what type of aid, which is gift aid, grants and scholarships, work study, and then any student loan the student may be eligible for.
You also know roughly how many students are actually filing a FAFSA every year, whether it's nationally or for UCI?
Nationally, it's around 17 million. So obviously it's very wide and vastly used across the US. Here at UCI, we have about 21,000 students who complete the FAFSA.
And give me the deadline for submitting the FAFSA.
Yeah, this year the deadline is March 4th for the state of California. Certainly here at UCI, we understand there's been a little bumps and bruises along the way with the rollout. Our office plans on being very generous and gracious about if that deadline is missed because they had some complications. We're willing to work with those families and understand that this is a much different year than it has been in prior years. So we want students to be applying now, obviously, to fill them out now. But certainly if there's troubles down the way, then we're going to be working with our families.
And tell me about the California DREAM Act application. I know that's an application that undocumented students use for...
Yeah. The CADA is the equivalent of the FAFSA. These are for our undocumented California residents. And so that application has also been revised to reflect the changes in the FAFSA, and our DREAM students receive equivalent amounts of aid as the FAFSA filers. So we want to make sure they're filling out that application early as well.
Becki, there's also been a recent announcement about FAFSA from the government. What do we need to know there?
Yeah, again, with any new rollout, you're going to have some, little tweaks here and there. I think certainly we were hoping for a little bit of a smoother rollout, but these types of things happens, and we just kind of, we just kind of move along the best we can with them. Certainly, there were some income protection allowance that was incorrect when they originally sent out the FAFSA for the students to file for. The Department of Education has responded to that accordingly, and they are going to make that correction for our families. Unfortunately, it means that we're going to receive the results of the FAFSA much later than we have. We were hoping to get them, obviously, hopefully at the beginning of January originally when it happened. And now we're kind of looking like, it may be into February until we get the results of the FAFSA. So, but we will make adjustments within our university, and the financial aid office is ready to take the task on.
Excellent. Very good. Crystal, what is different about the FAFSA now that it has been simplified?
Oh gosh, for our continuing students, they're really going to feel that the number of questions has been shortened. So in the past, students and families could have completed up to 103 questions, and now most students will be answering about 18. So we're hearing about 8 minutes for the average FAFSA filer to complete their application, which is really great news. And we're also excited about the fact that everyone is required to use the federal tax information direct data exchange with the IRS. So it's going to cut down on families making errors when they gather their tax information from 2 years ago and make some manual data entry. It's going to eliminate those issues. They did get, I think Becki will agree, a little overzealous in some of the questions they removed that we rely on, but the students will certainly have an improved experience.
Yeah, I think one of the main things that Crystal and I are not necessarily pleased about that they have removed is the housing question. So the housing question determines what type of financial aid budget a student receives, whether that be on campus in the dorms or off campus or at home with family. And they removed the question. So it's going to be really, most universities are going to have to make a lot of assumptions this year about where the students will be living. At UCI, we will also be making some assumptions based on prior living arrangements for our students, but we will have to go back and verify it later on. So we're hoping it goes back on for 25-26, but for 24-25, we're gonna kind of live with that change and adjust the best we can.
Yeah, be flexible. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Crystal, what would you advise students about this new FAFSA? What do they need to know?
I think for our new students that we're going to welcome on campus in fall 2024, it's going to be a new experience for them. So it just is what it is, and they'll get to experience that improved process right off the bat. And then for our continuing students, I think they're going to be very happy and pleasantly surprised. It's going to be much more seamless for them to get through, the main application process part of applying for financial aid. If they're a continuing student, across the board, we've done some modeling, and nationally, there's about 610,000 students who are going to get more students who will receive Pell Grants. So that's certainly an improvement, but I think some specific populations will be shocked by the outcome or surprised a little bit. Their financial circumstances may be the same as the prior year, but now they're going to see a different number because of the changes made to the calculation. And those are the students that we want to reach out to us. We're prohibited from making across the board policies regarding the federal changes to the formula. But if your circumstances haven't changed and you're surprised by what you see, we want those students to certainly reach out to our office, connect with a financial aid advisor. And if we can assist, we will. Like Becki said, we'll be as generous as we can this year. And understanding that there may be a big shift for some families.
Mm-hmm. Becki, I know you and your staff care deeply about the students that you are serving. How is your office as a whole working to assist students with these changes?
Yeah, yeah, thanks for that question. I mean, absolutely, first and foremost, we do care for our students, and we want to make filling out the FAFSA and receiving their financial aid offer as easy as possible. I think Crystal and I always feel like if the students are only worried about, their education, then we have done our job well. But understanding that FAFSA, and applying for financial aid can be a very stressful situation. So certainly we have robust ways that we serve our students. We have different ways that they can outreach to us. I feel that our phone system is probably the best way to get, real-time answers without a lengthy wait. We have a callback feature. So, you may have to wait a couple hours for a callback based on, maybe the volume that's coming in, but you're going to get that call back the same day. So if you call me on a Monday, you're going to get a call back on a Monday. So I think that's really great. But certainly we have Zoom meetings that we offer. We probably our least favorite is email because that can take a little bit longer for students to get a outreach back on that one. But certainly we have many different ways that families can contact us. Just being from a low income first generation student myself, I want to make sure that our students know that they don't need to be feeling nervous about calling us or hesitant about calling us. we are definitely here to help them.
Yeah, you can relate having been in that situation.
I can relate, and I was so confused,
Yes.
so confused as an incoming student.
Crystal, being that this is the first year of the new FAFSA, I presume students and families will have many questions and many concerns. What accommodations is the office making to support them?
Well, we're excited. We've been working really hard on the launch of a new student financial aid portal called Zot Aid. And that's really going to improve the student experience. It's a very clear, informative financial aid offer letter. It clearly explains what gift aid means, what gift aid is. And I think that enhancement in that new portal, the families are really going to appreciate the improved student experience and family experience. So we're excited to launch that simultaneously with this new FAFSA.
Yeah, I'm excited about that as well. We've really worked hard last several years with, modernizing our website and then bringing in the new software for the student. So we feel like that's really important for us, for the student to get a good experience.
So Becki, you mentioned the rollout has been what it's been, but in the years that follow, do you expect that this new FAFSA will make for a better application experience overall?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I even feel like this year the students are going to feel the difference. I mean, certainly our incoming students, this will break down any barriers to completing the FAFSA since the numbers have been lower in the application process. So we think that's going to really open up the gates to feel like, definitely it's not going to take them long, average of 8 minutes to complete the FAFSA. But certainly, we feel like, even though there's bumps and bruises this first year, the opportunity for additional Pell eligibility, the shortened time to completing the application, and really providing more transparency to our students so they can understand their financial aid offer much better in prior years rather than, the prior year FAFSA that just had 103 questions. It was very confusing. Often you needed somebody to help you fill it out. And I think this way, I think it's really going to be great overall. I'm really excited about it.
Excellent, excellent. Becki and Crystal, thank you. This has been very informative. To learn more, should anyone want to know more about the simplified FAFSA, they can visit the website studentaid.gov. And applicants to UCI and current UCI students can also contact your office, the UCI Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships, directly for help with their financial aid questions. The number to call is 949-824-8262. Becki and Crystal, thank you again for helping us understand the simplified FAFSA and how the UCI Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships is supporting our students with these changes.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thanks for having us.
Very good.